Good morning, everyone. I want to ask you something. When was the last time you intentionally spoke words that fueled your own belief? Not just thoughts, not just hopes, but words out loud. Because words have power, words shape our identity, words create reality. You see, the most successful, fulfilled people in the world don't just work harder or get luckier. They speak differently. They program their minds for courage, resilience, and purpose. They repeat the words that define who they are, who they want to become. So today, I want to give you something simple but powerful, a phrase, a mantra, a declaration. I want you to say this 100 times every day. The way we speak to ourselves determines how we see the world and how the world sees us. Words are not just sounds, they create beliefs and actions. Every word we say to ourselves carries weight, whether we realize it or not. They shape our thoughts, influence our emotions, and ultimately guide our behaviors. When we repeat words consistently, they form patterns in our minds, becoming the lens through which we interpret life. Think about the conversations we have in our heads every day. Most of the time, they're unconscious, habitual, and often negative. We tell ourselves we're not good enough, that we're not ready, that we don't have what it takes. Over time, these words solidify into beliefs, and beliefs dictate behavior. If someone constantly tells themselves they are unworthy, they will behave in ways that reinforce that belief. They will hesitate to take risks, shy away from opportunities, and settle for less than they deserve. On the other hand, those who consistently affirm their capability and purpose create a different reality for themselves. They walk into situations with confidence, they take action despite fear, and they persist when faced with challenges. They are not simply lucky or gifted, they have programmed their minds for success through the power of their words. The difference between someone who thrives and someone who struggles is often not talent or intelligence, but the language they use to define themselves. Words have a direct impact on our brain chemistry. Studies in neuroscience have shown that when we use positive affirmations, we activate the reward centers in our brain, reinforcing motivation and resilience. Negative words, on the other hand, trigger stress responses, making us more prone to anxiety and fear-based decisions. This is why the words we choose matter. They are not just expressions of thought, they are the architects of our mental and emotional state. Consider the great leaders and visionaries throughout history. They did not just think differently, they spoke differently. Martin Luther King Jr. did not say, "I hope one day things get better." He declared, "I have a dream." Steve Jobs did not say, "Maybe we can build something interesting." He declared, "We are going to put a dent in the universe." Their words were statements of certainty, of belief, of purpose, and because they spoke with conviction, the world responded. What we say to ourselves in private is just as important as what we say to the world. Every morning we have a choice. We can allow old limiting beliefs to dictate our day, or we can take control by intentionally speaking words that empower us. The key is consistency. Saying something once will not change much, but repeating it, embedding it into our daily routine, transforms it into a belief. Athletes understand this principle well. Before stepping onto the field, they use affirmations to reinforce their mindset. They don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. They tell themselves, "I am strong, I am ready, I will win." This practice is not about wishful thinking. It is about aligning their internal narrative with their desired outcome. And when their mind believes it, their body follows. The same applies to every aspect of life. Entrepreneurs who constantly affirm their vision, push through setbacks with unwavering determination. Leaders who speak words of encouragement to their teams inspire loyalty and commitment. Parents who tell their children they are loved and capable instill confidence that lasts a lifetime. Even in difficult situations, words determine how we respond. When faced with failure, one person might say, "I knew I wasn't good enough." Another might say, "This is a lesson and I will grow from it." The situation is the same, but the response is different because the words are different. And that difference determines what happens next, whether one gives up or keeps going. The most successful people in the world understand that words are tools. They use them intentionally to build their future. They do not wait for external circumstances to shape their beliefs. They shape their beliefs through language. They wake up every day and declare who they are, what they stand for, and where they are going. And because they do, they move forward with clarity and conviction. Every word spoken is an investment. Some words weaken us, while others strengthen us. The choice is always ours. Repeating a powerful affirmation daily rewires the brain, strengthens confidence, and builds resilience. It's not just about saying words, it's about programming your mindset. The way the brain works is simple. It adapts to what it hears most often. Just like physical exercise strengthens muscles, repetition strengthens mental pathways. Every time a thought is repeated, neural connections grow stronger, making that thought easier to access in the future. Over time, this process turns a simple phrase into a deeply held belief. This is why repetition matters. Saying something once might create a spark, but saying it consistently ignites a fire. The brain learns through patterns, and the more a phrase is repeated, the more natural it becomes. It stops being a conscious effort and turns into a subconscious truth. This is why negative self-talk is so damaging. When someone repeatedly tells themselves they are not good enough, their brain wires itself to believe it. They begin to see the world through that belief, interpreting situations as proof of their inadequacy. The opposite is also true. When someone repeats affirmations of strength, worth, and purpose, their brain adjusts accordingly. They start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. The power of repetition is not a new concept. Great leaders, athletes, and high achievers have used it for centuries. Muhammad Ali famously said, "I am the greatest," long before the world agreed. He wasn't making a casual statement. He was programming his mind. He said it so many times that it became his reality. He acted like the greatest, trained like the greatest, and ultimately became the greatest. His words were not empty. They were the foundation of his mindset. Repetition works because it overrides doubt. The human mind naturally questions itself, especially when facing challenges. But when a phrase is repeated consistently, it drowns out uncertainty. The brain accepts it as truth simply because it hears it so often. This is how advertising works. Brands repeat the same slogans and messages because they know repetition leads to familiarity, and familiarity leads to belief. If this principle works for selling products, imagine its power when applied to shaping a person's self-identity. Athletes use repetition before competitions. They don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. A runner doesn't step onto the track thinking, "I hope I do well." They repeat, "I am fast, I am strong, I will win." These words create a mental state that enhances performance. The body follows what the mind believes. A person who tells themselves they are confident will naturally stand taller, speak with more certainty, and take bolder actions. This concept applies to every area of life. A student preparing for an exam can repeat, "I am prepared, I am intelligent, I am ready." A person starting a business can say, "I am capable, I will succeed, I will make an impact." A parent raising a child can affirm, "I am patient, I am loving, I am doing my best." These phrases shape emotions and actions. They create an internal dialogue that influences external results. Science supports this idea. Studies in psychology show that positive affirmations activate brain regions associated with self-processing and reward. This means that repeating empowering statements doesn't just feel good, it physically changes the brain. It strengthens the neural pathways that support confidence and resilience. It reduces stress, increases motivation, and helps people push through difficulties. The words spoken today determine the thoughts that come naturally tomorrow. Consistency is the key. Saying something once will not create lasting change. Just like going to the gym once won't build muscle. The transformation happens through daily repetition. Some people expect immediate results and give up too soon, but the most successful individuals understand that change is gradual. They commit to repeating the words until they no longer have to think about them. The words become a part of them. The reason repetition is so effective is that it shifts identity. It is one thing to say, I want to be successful. It is another to say, I am successful. When a statement is repeated enough times, it moves from being a goal to being a reality. It changes the way decisions are made. A person who sees themselves as disciplined will naturally act in ways that reinforce that belief. They will make choices that align with their identity because the brain seeks consistency between beliefs and actions. Repetition also creates resilience. Life is full of challenges and setbacks are inevitable, but a person who has ingrained positive affirmations into their mind will react differently to obstacles. Instead of saying, this is too hard, they will say, I can handle this. Instead of thinking, I always fail, they will think, this is a learning experience. Their internal dialogue becomes their greatest source of strength. Words are powerful, but their real power comes from repetition. One statement said over and over can change the way a person thinks, feels, and acts. It can turn fear into courage, doubt into confidence, and hesitation into action. The process is simple, but the impact is profound. When you declare who you are with confidence, you begin to act accordingly. Identity fuels behavior and behavior shapes results. The way people see themselves determines how they show up in the world. Every action, every decision, every response to a challenge is influenced by the beliefs a person holds about their own identity. If someone sees themselves as strong and capable, they will approach life with resilience and determination. If they believe they are powerless or inadequate, they will hesitate, second-guess themselves, and play small. Identity is not just a reflection of the past, it is a blueprint for the future. People often think that behavior shapes identity, but the truth is the opposite. The way a person defines themselves dictates their actions. A person who sees themselves as disciplined does not struggle to wake up early or stay consistent with their work. A person who believes they are a leader naturally takes charge and inspires those around them. These actions are not forced, they flow effortlessly from their sense of self. The challenge is that many people hold on to identities that do not serve them. They carry labels from childhood, past failures, or negative experiences, and those labels dictate their actions without them even realizing it. Words have the power to shape identity. When someone repeatedly tells themselves, I am confident, I am capable, I am here for a purpose, they are not just saying words, they are programming their mind to accept that as reality. The brain does not distinguish between what is real and what is repeated often enough. Over time, this repeated self-definition begins to influence decisions, actions, and even body language. A person who believes they are confident will naturally stand taller, make eye contact, and speak with certainty. Their behavior aligns with their belief. This is why great leaders and successful people speak their identity into existence. They do not wait for external validation before believing in themselves. They decide who they are and then live according to that decision. When an athlete says, "I am a champion," before they have won a championship, they are not lying to themselves. They are aligning their identity with their goal, and their actions follow. When an entrepreneur says, "I am building a world-changing company," before anyone knows their name, they are setting an identity that drives their behavior. They make bold choices, take risks, and persist through challenges because that is what a world changer does. Identity is the foundation of confidence. People often search for confidence in external achievements, thinking that once they succeed, they will finally feel worthy. But confidence does not come from success. Success comes from confidence. The most effective way to build confidence is to decide who you are and act in alignment with that decision, even before the results show up. When a person repeatedly tells themselves, "I am successful, I am resilient, I am a leader," they start to embody those qualities, their behavior shifts, and the world responds accordingly. The key is to be intentional about the identity being reinforced. Many people unknowingly affirm negative identities. They say things like, "I'm always late," "I'm terrible at remembering names," or "I'm not good at public speaking." These statements, repeated over time, become self-fulfilling prophecies. The more someone identifies with a limitation, the more they act in ways that reinforce it. Instead of saying, "I'm bad at something," they can shift to, "I am improving every day." Instead of saying, "I am shy," they can say, "I am becoming more confident." Identity is fluid, and the words used to define it determine the direction it takes. This principle applies in every area of life. A student who tells themselves, "I am intelligent and capable," will approach learning with curiosity and perseverance. A professional who says, "I am valuable and skilled," will advocate for themselves and seek opportunities for growth. A parent who declares, "I am patient and loving," will navigate challenges with greater calm and understanding. These identities become internalized, shaping behavior at a subconscious level. Even in moments of struggle, identity remains the anchor. When someone faces a setback, they can either let it define them or remind themselves of who they are. A person who has declared, "I am resilient," will see failure as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock. A person who has affirmed, "I am capable," will look for solutions instead of dwelling on problems. The ability to return to a strong sense of self in difficult times is what separates those who give up from those who persist. Everything begins with identity. The way a person defines themselves shapes their actions, their mindset, and their outcomes. When identity is chosen intentionally, behavior follows naturally. This is why the words spoken about oneself matter. They are not just statements, they are instructions to the mind. They set the standard for how life is approached and determine what is possible. The most inspiring leaders and successful individuals don't wait for validation, they affirm their purpose and beliefs until the world believes in them too. The greatest leaders in history didn't gain influence because they were waiting for approval or permission. They didn't ask if their ideas were acceptable before sharing them with confidence. They spoke their truth boldly, even when no one else understood or agreed. They believed in something so deeply that their conviction became contagious. People follow those who believe in what they are saying, not just those who have the right words. Speaking with conviction starts with internal certainty. Most people hesitate to share their beliefs because they are waiting for someone else to validate them first. They want proof before they commit. They want the world to tell them they are good enough, smart enough, or talented enough before they step forward. But the reality is that belief precedes validation. No one will believe in something until the person speaking it believes in it first. Confidence is not given, it is claimed. Leaders don't need permission to lead. They declare their vision, and because they believe it so fully, others begin to believe it too. History shows this over and over again. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't say, "I think we might be able to create change." He said, "I have a dream." His words were not uncertain, they were full of conviction. Steve Jobs didn't ask the world if it was ready for innovation. He declared, "People don't know what they want until we show it to them." Elon Musk didn't wait for approval before deciding to build rockets. He spoke with certainty about making life multiplanetary, and now people are working toward that reality. The world follows those who speak with clarity and unwavering belief. People often struggle with self-doubt, thinking they need to be fully prepared before they can speak with confidence. But great leaders understand that certainty is a choice. They choose to believe in their message, their vision, and their purpose, even before there is evidence to support it. They speak as if what they believe is already true, and that belief shapes reality. Words are not just expressions of thought, they are tools that shape perception. A person who speaks hesitantly about their goals will not inspire confidence. But someone who declares this will happen with full conviction creates momentum. Speaking with belief also creates alignment. When someone declares something boldly, they start acting in ways that support that declaration. If an entrepreneur says, "I am building something world-changing," they will make decisions that reflect that belief. They will take risks, invest in their ideas, and push through challenges because they have committed to that identity. If a leader says, "We are going to revolutionize this industry," their team starts thinking differently, working harder, and seeing obstacles as stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Words set the direction for action. People respond to conviction more than information. A speaker could have all the right data, all the right strategies, and still fail to inspire if they don't speak with belief. On the other hand, someone who deeply believes in what they are saying, even if they don't have all the answers, will attract people to their vision. This is why passion is so powerful. Passion is simply belief expressed with energy. When someone speaks with passion, others feel it and they are drawn to it. It is not about having the perfect words. It is about having an unshakable belief in what is being said. The biggest obstacle to speaking with belief is fear of rejection. Many people hesitate to declare their truth because they worry about what others will think. They fear criticism, skepticism, or failure. But the truth is, every great leader faced doubt before they gained influence. Every innovator was called unrealistic before they changed the world. Every successful person was questioned before they were celebrated. Waiting for approval is a mistake. The world only validates those who first validate themselves. Leaders do not whisper their vision. They do not water down their beliefs to fit in. They do not ask for permission to think differently. They stand firmly in their truth and share it boldly. They speak as if their vision is already reality, and because of that certainty, others start to believe it too. The words they speak shape the actions they take, the confidence they project, and the way others perceive them. It all starts with the decision to believe in their message fully. Everything a person says is either reinforcing belief or weakening it. If they speak with hesitation, doubt creeps in. If they speak with certainty, conviction grows. The world follows those who are sure of where they are going. The ones who declare their purpose and refuse to waver become the ones who lead movements, build empires, and create lasting change. Confidence is not about waiting for validation. It is about speaking with belief so strongly that the world has no choice but to believe too. Every thought repeated with conviction shapes reality. The mind is constantly absorbing and reinforcing what it hears most often. If a person continuously tells themselves they are strong, confident, and capable, those words become the foundation of their belief system. If they constantly repeat thoughts of doubt and fear, those thoughts become their reality instead. The human brain does not distinguish between what is true and what is consistently reinforced. It accepts repetition as fact. This is why the words spoken internally and externally hold immense power. Athletes, leaders, and high achievers understand this principle and use it to their advantage. Before stepping onto the field, a champion does not entertain thoughts of failure. They do not say, "I hope I win." They declare, "I am a winner." A musician does not go on stage thinking, "I might mess up." They affirm, "I am prepared and I will deliver." These words are not just empty statements, they are shaping neural pathways that drive behavior. The mind aligns with what it repeatedly hears. When someone tells themselves a message often enough, their brain starts finding evidence to support it. Repetition strengthens belief. A person who says, "I am confident" once may not feel any change. But someone who says it 100 times a day, every single day, begins to embody confidence naturally. Their posture shifts, their tone becomes steadier, and their decisions become bolder. Their brain rewires itself to accept confidence as a core part of their identity. This process works both positively and negatively. If someone constantly tells themselves, "I always mess things up," their brain will reinforce that belief too. They will subconsciously act in ways that confirm it. The subconscious mind is always listening. It does not filter whether a statement is beneficial or harmful. It simply absorbs what is repeated most often. This is why people who grow up hearing negative messages often struggle with self-worth. If someone repeatedly heard, "You're not good enough" as a child, that message became deeply ingrained. However, just as the mind can be programmed with limiting beliefs, it can also be reprogrammed with empowering ones. A person can choose to override old narratives by consistently affirming new truths. Successful people do not leave their mental programming to chance. They take control of their internal dialogue. They wake up and declare who they are and what they will achieve. They do not let external circumstances dictate their mindset. They understand that thoughts influence actions and actions determine results. They use repetition to install beliefs that drive success. They are intentional with their words because they know those words are shaping their future. The power of spoken words extends beyond self-talk. What a person says out loud impacts not only their own mind, but also the minds of those around them. Leaders who repeatedly speak visions of greatness inspire their teams to believe in the impossible. Parents who tell their children, "You are smart, you are kind, you are capable," instill those beliefs in them. Teachers who reinforce confidence in their students create environments where learning thrives. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds planted in the minds of those who hear them. There is a reason mantras and affirmations have been used for centuries. Ancient civilizations understood that what is spoken repeatedly becomes reality, whether it is religious chants, battle cries, or motivational slogans. History proves that words have the power to create movements and shape destinies. The same principle applies on a personal level. The words spoken to oneself daily determine what is believed, and what is believed determines what is achieved. This is why consistency matters. Saying something positive once is not enough to override years of negative programming. Change happens through persistence. The first few times an affirmation is spoken, it might feel unnatural. The brain may resist it because it is unfamiliar. But over time, through repetition, it becomes second nature. The person who once doubted themselves starts believing in their abilities without hesitation. The one who used to feel lost begins to see clarity and direction. The one who feared failure starts embracing challenges with confidence. Repetition builds resilience. Life will always present obstacles, but those who have reinforced empowering beliefs within themselves respond differently. Instead of thinking, "I can't handle this," they immediately affirm, "I am strong enough to overcome anything." Instead of saying, "This is too hard," they declare, I am resourceful and will find a way. Their automatic responses to adversity are shaped by the words they have ingrained in their minds. The process is simple but powerful. Decide what beliefs to reinforce, speak them daily with certainty, repeat them until they become an unshakable part of identity. The words spoken today determine the reality experienced tomorrow. Everything in life is a reflection of the thoughts consistently entertained and the words repeatedly spoken. The mind is always listening, absorbing, and internalizing the messages it receives. Whether those messages are empowering or limiting depends entirely on what is chosen to be repeated daily. The way a person speaks to themselves determines how they think, how they feel, and ultimately how they act. Thoughts influence emotions, emotions drive actions, and actions shape reality. Every person is programming their mind every single day, either intentionally or by default. Most people are unaware of the impact their daily thoughts and words have on their lives. They allow random, often negative thoughts to run through their minds unchecked. They say things like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, or things never work out for me, without realizing that each of these statements reinforces a belief that holds them back. The more these words are repeated, the more the mind accepts them as true. They become ingrained in the subconscious and shape the way a person sees themselves and their potential. Reprogramming the mind begins with awareness and intentional repetition. The most successful people in the world understand that their internal dialogue must align with the outcomes they want to create. They don't wait for confidence before declaring, I am confident. They don't wait for success before saying, I am successful. They understand that words precede reality. By repeating empowering statements daily, they train their minds to believe in possibilities that once seemed out of reach. They override doubts and fears with certainty and conviction. Every belief that exists today was formed through repetition. A child who is constantly told they are smart and capable grows up believing in their intelligence. A child who is repeatedly told they are not good at something will carry that belief into adulthood. The good news is that beliefs can be rewritten at any time. It requires the same process that created them in the first place. Consistent repetition. By choosing to speak empowering words every day, new beliefs are formed and old limitations begin to fade away. The most powerful changes happen when repetition is paired with emotion. Simply saying words without feeling will not create transformation. The key is to speak with certainty, visualize the words as reality, and truly believe in what is being declared. When someone says, I am strong, and pairs it with the feeling of strength, their mind accepts it more deeply. When they say, I am capable, while picturing themselves succeeding, they reinforce that belief even faster. Emotion gives words power, and the combination of both accelerates change. The way the brain works makes this process even more powerful. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. This is why athletes use mental rehearsal to improve their performance. A basketball player who mentally practices making free throws with full focus and emotion activates the same neural pathways as if they were physically taking the shots. Over time, this mental practice translates into real-world results. The same principle applies to affirmations. Repeating I am confident while truly feeling confident trains the brain to adopt that state as normal. Daily repetition is not just about motivation, it is about rewiring the brain for long-term transformation. Just as muscles grow stronger with consistent training, the mind becomes conditioned to new beliefs through daily reinforcement. A person who has spent years thinking negatively cannot expect to change overnight, but with daily repetition, the mind gradually shifts. What once felt unnatural becomes second nature. Doubt is replaced with certainty, hesitation with decisiveness, and fear with confidence. This practice is not about ignoring reality, but about creating a new one. It does not mean pretending challenges do not exist. Instead, it means responding to those challenges with a mindset that leads to solutions rather than limitations. A person who constantly repeats, "I find solutions to every problem," begins to approach difficulties with creativity and persistence. Someone who says, "I always get back up stronger," becomes naturally resilient in the face of setbacks. The results of this process extend beyond personal transformation. When a person radiates confidence and certainty, they influence those around them. Their energy becomes magnetic. People trust them more, listen to them more, and are inspired by their conviction. Leaders who embody strong beliefs uplift their teams. Parents who reinforce positive identities in their children shape their futures. Teachers who speak words of encouragement empower their students to reach new heights. The power of repetition does not just change one person, it creates a ripple effect that impacts everyone they encounter. No matter where someone is starting from, they can begin rewriting their story today. The process is simple, but requires commitment. Choose the words that align with the desired reality, speak them with confidence, feel them deeply, repeat them daily until they become an unshakable truth. Over time, those words will transform thoughts. Thoughts will shape actions, and actions will create a new reality. The mind believes what it hears most often, and what it believes it creates.